Welcome back to the first Knowledge Gumbo conversations for 2026. Whoa. New year. Gonna tweak the format a little bit this year uh, and try to get it going the way we really want it to go. Um, but we're gonna start off, like we usually do, with this reminder, not just for you, but for myself always. First and foremost, you are loved. You are smart. You are important. You are needed. You are necessary. There are holes in this world and in people's lives that only you can fill. So let's get jumping on this first Knowledge Gumbo conversation for 2026. As we switch it up a little bit, the first section now is going to mostly be related to something going on currently in the news related to the theme for the month, because everything is going to flow together. I'm bringing my podcast back. So from the podcast to this live stream to the newsletter on Friday, brain fart, we're going to have themes and focuses for each week based on that theme. And so for the live stream, the first section, now it's going to be something current and recent dealing with the theme and the focus of the week. Heidi ho, Gretchen, how you doing? We changing things up a little bit for this year. So as I was saying, this first section going forward is going to be something where we discuss something happening in the news right now, dealing with the theme and the focus of each particular week. For this week, we're looking at, the theme for the month of January is going to be sports, or AKA Black women in sports. And the discussion starting out today is we're looking at how sports have changed for women and how they need to set a standard when it comes to, I want to say, professional sports. Because we see the fight that the women's soccer team is having versus the men's soccer team. We're looking at the difference between the WNBA and the NBA. And I think the key is neither league really has picked a lane, picked a standard, and followed it. And what I mean by that is when you look at baseball, it's regional oriented, and their focus and their standard is on rivalries. When you look at football, it's kind of similar, where you have conference rivals and that's the focus. But now they're kind of pivoted to an offensive league, but that's the standard. So that's why this past Monday all these coaches got fired, because they're not meeting the standard of having prolific offenses now that the rules have changed to benefit the offenses. But when you look at the NBA, they're a star-driven league. They focus on stars, and people follow stars from team to team. And then you have maybe, I say 40 to 45% that just follow their particular team, where they're from and where they grew up, or a team that they've adopted. And I think the women need to lean into that to find a standard and go full force and stop fighting against each other. Because for me, the women's soccer team went wrong when Instead of worrying about what the men were getting paid, worry about creating more value in your league. Because if you create the value and the money starts to grow, people will come and invest in your league to get it out to more people. Because there's no doubt, especially I want to say the last 10, 15 years, US women's soccer has been way more successful and more explosive than the men's. But what good is it if you're good, but there's no standard, no continuity on which to promote the sport? And the same thing goes for the WNBA. When you have, it looks like the standard right now is they're trying to be kind of college based, where the coaches are more important than the stars. And that's not going to work in a professional league. You have to have stars. You have to promote the stars. They should be making more than the coach. And right now in the WNBA, that is just not the case. They are not promoting the right people. They are not promoting the right stars. And then the women themselves, the way they're coming across, they're not communicating their message effectively. And they're being dismissed. Because I know a whole lot of sisters in that league could beat a whole lot of brothers if you play based on skill as opposed to physical strength. And there's a lane somewhere in there that they got to figure out, to where you can get more men involved in participating and looking at the beauty of the skill in the women's game that the men's game no longer has, because everybody's running the same ISO offense and there's no real coaching, no real offenses anymore. So that's just my 2 cents on it. I think they have to set a standard for themselves and then go all in. And everybody has to buy in. And everybody has to participate. You can't have black athletes going at white athletes. Neither one of you are superior to the other. Because if you don't learn how to work together, their league is going to fold. There's no doubt about that at all. So, I mean, that's what we're looking at. So, we're renaming the second section. It was originally Address It or Let It Go. I felt like that was really confrontational. And I can be confrontational, but for the most part, that's not my swag. So I've been working out some other ideas, and what I've come up with for right now is the second segment being called Speak Your Piece or Save Your Piece. So, all right, family, it's time for Speak Your Piece or Save Your Piece. I'll give you a situation and we'll decide together, is this something you speak on or something you release to protect your peace? So let me know in the comments. A commentator, sports commentator, praises an athlete's natural talent, but avoids mentioning the discipline, the training, and the barriers she overcame. So are you going to speak your piece or save your piece? At this point in my life, I tend to think I would save my piece, because the people who know, and those who don't are of a mindset that you can't convince. As the saying goes, you can't get blood from a turnip. So beating on someone who doesn't know that hard work beats talent when talent doesn't work hard, you can't do nothing with that. Because I've seen, heck, I've known people who had the talent, both men and women, to make it to professional ranks, but they didn't have the mentality of putting in the work. And if you don't understand that, why are we having this conversation? We're not. I'm going to save my peace, let you do what you do, and I'm going to keep it moving. So let me know in the comments below. Would you speak on it? Would you speak your piece? Or would you save your piece? And I'm still working out the final section of the conversation. I think for right now, it's going to be something I recently learned, maybe slash relearned. Because, sometimes you get these lessons, something your mama said, your daddy said, or you heard it from a professor or a teacher or a librarian, and they tell you something and it goes in, but it don't really take root. And then you get in a situation and it finally takes root and it grows and you go, oh, that's what that meant. But I'm trying to work out how that's going to fall into our theme as well. But for now, I'm just going to leave it like this for something I recently learned. And I've been working on my car. It's a little long, or SUV, it's a little long in the tooth. But now that it costs you over $100 labor just for them to look at it and diagnose and figure out what's wrong, my philosophy is if it's something that I believe I can do, I would rather do it and just save the money for them just to look at it and tell me what's wrong. And in doing that, I figured out having the right tool for the job saves you one of your most precious commodities, which is time. Trying to do a job without the right tool will drive you bananas. And it doesn't just mean that for fixing a car. It could be anything. It could be just like this live stream. If I didn't have the right tool of Ecamm, I would have a hard time doing this live stream. If I didn't have the right tool of Shure microphone, I would have a hard time doing the live stream and having quality audio that you understand. So like I said, having the right tool for the right job saves one your most precious commodity, and that is time. And as we get older, we don't have as much time ahead of us as we've had behind us. So we have to be judicious with the time we have. And that's it for the first Knowledge Gumbo conversation of 2026. Hopefully we'll grow together and get better at this as I start to get a better feel for it and how I want it to flow. And we get our own particular, assets for it, hoping people like the new logo for it. Trying to get some branding in here now that I'm more comfortable doing this. But if you have any suggestions, you have any questions that you want me to look into that we can discuss, like I said, the theme for the month of January is sports. And each week we're going to have a different focus. So this week's focus is about athletes and setting a standard or creating a standard. So this is it for this week's Knowledge Gumbo Conversations. I'd love to hear what resonated with you. So type those things in the comments. If you haven't already, join the Gumbo family by subscribing to the newsletter right there. Whoop, that way. Subscribing to the newsletter because it's where our community and culture come together, one story at a time. I'll see you if you join. Ooh, there you go. Which way? That way. If you sign up for the newsletter, I'll see y'all in your inbox on Friday morning. And no matter what, let's always keep the conversation going. All right?